Good afternoon, everyone. I am so looking forward to this conversation. And ironically, I think we both have been for a couple of weeks now. I'm Kat Johnson. I am one of many hats, but we'll stick with veteran advocate. And welcome to David Root. He's going to join me for this conversation today. And we're going to kick off the legislative lens as a series that will probably run maybe once a month, maybe every 6 weeks, where we're going to bring to you information that is relevant to the veteran community and is on the legislative docket here in the state of Ohio that maybe doesn't get talked about in just a free flowing conversation. Free of political bias, but we're just going to talk about it and how it affects veterans. So, David, thanks for joining me.
Hi, good to be here. Good to be here.
All right. So, for those of you who don't know David, first of all, I'm a fan because we get to have the Navy bias, if any. David's a Navy veteran and editor of the Ohio Legislative Report. If you're not on his email list, we'll put some links in the notes where you can join his email list, which is always full of information. Married, dad of two, grandpa of many, which is probably the most important title in the world. But one of the most educated humans and one I love to talk to about what's going on in the legislative reform of this state. So excited to talk to you today.
Well, good to be here. I'm looking forward. You mentioned that this is going to be an ongoing thing, so I'm sort of looking forward to that as we move through this. Basically, once a month, see how it goes, see what the interest is on everybody. So. It's good to be here. Good to be here, Kate.
Well, okay, so let's just jump right in. There's a few pretty hot topics that are on the legislative docket here in the state of Ohio that drastically affect our veterans. And we're going to jump right in 2 feet with Senate Bill 708. Now, if you follow me on social media or you follow David, 708 has got the big, giant, no shark graphic on it, but I'm going to give you the floor because this is one that I have had the awesome opportunity to learn so much from you on. So let's tell everybody what House Bill 708 is and how it's going to affect our veterans.
Okay. 708 is a fairly new bill, just introduced this month on the 18th, and it will basically allow what some of the VSOs call claim shark companies the ability to practice the way they do legally in Ohio when filing for claims for veterans. Basically, what that amounts to is they'll be able to charge fairly large amounts. They don't need to be accredited by the VA. And a number of other smaller items that are pretty much immaterial. But those are the two basic things that the bill will allow them to do. Keeping in mind, in the federal law, it is illegal for them for anybody, not just them, but for anybody to file a claim with the VA if they are not accredited through the VA with their accreditation. By being accredited, they're also responsible for following the federal law in regards to filing claims and so forth, and how much they can charge and how they come about coming up with their charges. The problem is the federal law in 2006, I think it was, did away with the penalties. They just rescinded the penalties. There's no penalties for breaking that law now. And I guess their purpose was to hopefully create more interest in people filing claims and opening it up, because at that time it was big, huge backlog of claims, and nothing was getting accomplished in a speedy manner. So that was the purpose, and it did. It totally opened the door for all these people, and now they can charge whatever they want because there's no penalty for it. their law would make it totally legal for them to operate in Ohio. And we are, most of the VSOs, veteran service organizations, are against the bill. We're against the claim sharks coming into Ohio and operating under this law or under their current way of doing it. I mean, they're already in Ohio. They're already
Yeah.
operating. This just makes it legal for them and goes against the federal law.
Yeah, so I think there's a couple of really interesting things here that there's a lot of misnomer about, right? So the practice of veterans law is not regulated well. It's actually very easy to claim you can practice veterans law, which is kind of scary. But there's also a ton of really great ways to have your claim processed for free. Veterans do not need to pay someone to have their claims processed. In the state of Ohio, ORC 5901, maybe? Yes, 5901, actually requires every county in our state to have a veteran service commission where they will process your claims for free. So the money that you get does not become degraded in any way for the commitment that you made to our country. You get all of it by going through your county agency, where if you go through this shark concept, they take a portion of your claim money. They say the verbiage is, as we've seen it, and David's done a great job of finding some of these examples, well, we don't charge you anything. Well, you're right. They don't charge you anything up front, but they do take a portion of your claim. And because that is not a necessarily regulated practice, it doesn't necessarily mean they're doing you the best justice either. And I think as we've educated ourselves in this process, that's kind of the scary part.
Yes, it is. They come across as being 100% for veterans, and everything they do is for their benefits. And technically, it is. They're filing a claim for the veteran, but they're not going to get any money unless it actually goes through and they get that increase. And then they're going to charge a percentage of the increase that they get for their services. They sign contracts going into it and so forth, but the contracts are multiple pages long, and you and I both know nobody signs those things without looking at them. That's
Right.
not the way it works. It's here's what it is. I'm telling you what's in this, but I'm not telling you everything that's in this, is what happens. Right. And they ultimately end up signing a contract that locks them in and requires things that they weren't aware of when they signed. So that's the problem we're looking at.
The other thing that I think is really unfortunate that we've seen even in the last couple of weeks is the veteran law or findings that is progressing, especially post PACT Act or for our post 9/11, our Vietnam veterans. It's progressing so quickly that if you are not truly practicing veterans law in a very top-notch level, that law is moving fast. So you really have to be on top of it. And if you really do have a progressing disease or a degenerative situation with your health, you need to be with a program that is really on top of how to get your claims and your ratings correct. So please, by all things, be with an organization that is connected with the state or connected with someone who is on top of that, especially for our Vietnam vets or our post 9/11 vets. We know you need the help. You earned these benefits. These are not a handout, but the findings are progressing so fast and you really have to be on top of it, I think is probably my best message. So get to somebody who has the capacity to stay on top of it. And I think some of the shark concept, they don't have the capacity. They're just the one-offs. I was sitting at our local veterans organization the other day having a cocktail, and somebody had said, well, my friend got help from just this random person. That random person actually had guided them in the wrong situation. And whether that was with ill intent or not, they really just were not with the right organization to have them help for the severity of their situation.
Right, right. What they want to look for is an organization or individual that is accredited with the Veterans Administration. Without that accreditation, they cannot legally file a claim. They can't help you in any way file that claim. These claim sharks are doing it. They're actually helping. They're providing the forms. They're filling out the forms for you. Then they email it to you. You never go in and talk to these people. They have one office in the entire country down in North Carolina. The one company I'm talking about, they're all pretty much the same. You're never going to go talk to anybody personally, one on one. You're always going to be on a phone conversation with them. They're going to do everything via email, and what they're actually turning in, you don't really know, because they're turning it in after you've seen it. They can change it before they send it in. They can do almost anything with it. You just don't know when they're not accredited how much they follow the law. That's
So, David, I've seen in your emails that you've been sending out, you do have a call to action for people who do want to help stop, eliminate this Senate Bill 708 that's out. You have suggested to people what they can do to kind of stop this scenario if they believe that they don't want it in our state. Can you kind of remind people what they can do to have their opinion heard?
Well, it's something I don't do as the editor for Ohio legislative chair or report, but when I send something out, I send it out as a member of the VFW, and I send most of the emails go to VFW members, but there are others involved that are there to help. But basically, what I'm asking them to do is send emails, make contact with the representatives that are key participants in this bill. The committee, members of the committee that are going to be hearing it, and the sponsors and co-sponsors of the bill itself. Those are the people that I'm asking them to contact, let them know their thoughts, their feeling on the bill, and to constantly contact them. It's an ongoing thing. As soon as we stop emailing them or calling them, and there's a week or two break in there, they figure we've lost interest, and it's not the case. It's just we've lost the desire to do anything this week is what it amounts to. And it's important that we continue to do that as often as we can. So.
I think that call to action is so important, that people remain vigilant in expressing to your elected officials what your stance is, especially in veterans matters, because it does require people to be heard,
Right. Yes.
No matter what the topic. Okay, awesome. All right, let's talk about House Bill 244. I sent you on a little bit of a mission on this one, and this one was a fun one for me because I have a contact who's incredibly passionate, and you got to meet my friend Mr. Burdick in the committee meeting on this one. So House Bill 244 is for Abbey Gate Remembrance Day, and Abbey Gate Remembrance Day is actually being signed by the governor tomorrow. We got notice. So this is an exciting one. Abbey Gate Remembrance Day is August 26th, and we're remembering the 13 service members who lost their lives on the pullout from Afghanistan. And this has been a little bit of a wait. But Joe Burdick, if you're a follower of mine, you know Burdick flags. Joe's known for lots of different things. Also a Navy vet, right? Great things happen. They come from the Navy, right?
Oh, yeah.
But Maxton Soviak is an Ohio-born corpsman, and he lost his life on Abbey Gate. But his family has always been close to Joe, and this is Joe's kind of personal mission to remember these service members. So you got to sit in on the committee meeting. Tell us a little bit about how that went.
Well, it went for me, it went like any other committee
Yeah.
hearing. Uh, it's one I go to quite often. It was the Veterans and Military Development Committee in the House. And so obviously a lot of our bills that the VFW and American Legion and so forth look at are going through that hearing, that committee. So I'm very familiar with the people that were in there that day, and I got to meet Joe ahead of time, and then listen to his testimony. He definitely was very, very much into what he was saying. He believed
Yeah.
it very much, and it was good to hear him. And he got good reaction. The members of the committee paid attention. They quite often do not. They'll be doing things on their keypads and so forth, their phones and whatever. But everybody was listening to everything he said. It was a very very well put together testimony, and I have to say I was glad to be there and part of it and witness a little bit of that history.
Yeah,
He
Joe's
did
a
good.
special human. Yeah.
Yes.
So if you watch tomorrow, 2:45, the governor will be signing that into law. So it'll be a state holiday. And same thing with reaching out. Max Miller has petitioned or has proposed the bill at the U.S. Senate and House for this to be a national holiday. And we are trying to make sure that that gets in place before August 26th, 2026, which will be the fifth anniversary of Abbey. So if you're looking for more information, you can reach out to your local representation, and hopefully Max Miller sees some success with his national bill. So just a small win for veterans, but Ohio leading the way again in recognizing the commitment to our veterans. So we love that. All right. Would you like to talk about the Gold Star flag?
I can. I need to correct you on that. It's not a gold star flag.
Okay, please
It's the
educate me,
Honor and
David.
Remember flag, is
There you
what
go. Okay,
officially it's called. The Honor and
thank you for
Remember
that.
flag. It is for Gold Star families. So you're sort of right, but it it's a flag that's been around for. To be honest with you, I am not sure. I'm going to say about 15 years now, something like that. Uh, and it was created by a young man at that time who was the father of a fallen soldier in Afghan or Iraq. I'm not sure which, to be honest with you. But he created it. He wanted to come up with something that the country could use in recognition of our fallen soldiers and sailors and Marines and so forth. And he came up with that, and then went to national headquarters, national uh, Congress to see if they could back it and make it an official flag. As with anything in Congress, it's very slow. He
Yeah.
discovered that right away,
Yep.
and
Yep.
he's still trying to get that passed years later. But in is in so many cases, if you can't get it done nationally, then go to the states and start getting the states involved. And
Yep.
that's what he did. He's been working on the states for just as long now, almost, and he has 30 out of the 50 states now have accepted it as an official flag, as a flag to honor and remember those that are killed in action. And he just recently, I believe, retired as CEO or president, whatever he was of the company, honor and remember. And so he was. It's a little disappointing that he didn't get this passed in all nationally, uh,
Yeah.
but he's still working on it. He's still working behind the scenes. He's just not official, the CEO anymore, and he's turned that over to other people. And I have already seen some changes that obviously were not his that have come into play since his retirement a few months back. So I
Yeah.
think it'll get there. Every time we can add a state, so much the better. Uh, but it's going to take some time.
Yeah.
Uh, if you went back and looked at all the objections that people have for this flag are the same objections they had for the POW MIA that is currently accepted everywhere. And
Yeah.
So it's going to take time to get enough people behind it and make it realize it's not trying to replace any flag. It's not trying to replace any situation, any ceremony, or anything else. It's just another flag, and its purpose is one only: to honor and remember those that have been killed in combat. So I think it'll get there. I don't know whether he or I are going to see that happen, but hopefully we will. But I think
Come on, David.
it'll take
I know
time.
you. I know you're at your 29th birthday. I when this issue came out and we were asked to bring it to the agenda today, the POW flag came out. That was part of the conversation that was brought to my attention, and how long it took, for POW KIA to be brought in. And ironically, my grandfather was a POW, and I think that when we start talking about topics like this, and I hear controversy like, well, the POW flag took a lot longer, this one should take long too, or things like that. I always liken it to the eagle nest. If you've ever seen the eagle nest or really understood what it takes to hold an eagle's nest up, they are tons of small components holding that massive weight up, not to mention when the bird is actually in it. And I think when we talk about these small components that build up all the strength of our veteran community and their families and everything, it's all the little tiny pieces. Yes, we're never going to give up that POW flag. Now we're going to have this additional flag. Now we're going to have all these other little things. And it's just building that amazing eagle nest. And we all love that eagle, right? It's just such an amazing emblem of our country. It's just adding to the strength of that eagle's nest, because you're never going to knock that thing down. And I hope that that's where we're going to see things like this come to fruition faster and more accepted, rather than, well, it took us a long time, so it should take this one a long time. It's just better and faster because we recognize it more wisely now.
I understand what you're saying, and I would like to say, yeah, that's going to be the case here. But I don't see that happening for the same reason it took so long for the POW MIA flag.
Yeah.
You were dealing with a whole bunch of people that at that time were not all that veteran friendly.
Right.
You're talking right after the Vietnam War. The acceptance of military was not on everybody's playlist, and you're basically dealing with the same thing now. The vast majority of any state's legislature is non-military, and you're going to be dealing with that everywhere we turn on this, including Congress. Excuse me. And unfortunately, that's the way it works. You have to have the backing before it can move forward. And right now, we don't have enough of the backing. This is the third General Assembly this bill has been in front of. I've testified on it. I can no longer testify on it because the VFW at their last convention voted as an organization to not allow the flag or to not accept the flag. So I can't as an individual, but not as a VFW member.
Yeah.
But in all the testimony that's been up until now from the legislators, I got the same thing. It's, well, let me see what everybody else is going to do before I make up my mind. And that's even from veterans that are in the legislature. There's not enough of, well, I like this flag, so I'm going to go with it. There's not enough of that. And there are plenty of people that are for it, but aren't doing it because that's not how they operate. That's not how they get elected, guaranteed to be elected at the next election. And unfortunately, that's the way politics works. And fortunately, that's why I stay out of politics.
So now you're stuck with me.
Legislation. it's not the politics that I deal with. So
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Well, hopefully people can ponder on this conversation today and decide what they're going to do about it.
right,
We've got one more that I want to talk about, and it's a
sure,
little bit of a twofold, but we've got maybe 4 minutes left.
okay,
So, Senate Bill 92 is the tax incentive for disabled vets to have consideration for their property taxes to be removed. And you brought this up to me today with leading into the conversation about property taxes potentially being removed on the ballot for November. So all inclusive. Let's
right,
talk about Senate Bill 92 to start. You want to give me just kind of the rundown on that, and then we'll loop in the second
right,
one.
sure. Yeah, Senate Bill 92, and again, this is a bill that's been in front of the previous two General Assemblies and has not been able to go anywhere in either of the other two, and it hasn't so far this time. A year ago at the beginning of the General Assembly was introduced by Senator Patton, and the bill, plain and simple, 100% exemption on property taxes on any veteran that's 100% disabled, uh, as categorized by the VA.
By the
Uh,
way.
so if they're 100% disabled, they don't pay property tax. They'll have to file the paperwork and so forth, but that'll all become very easy once it's set up. Once this passes and it gets set up, uh, the state will reimburse the counties for the money they lose. So it's coming out of the state's budget, not the counties. So the counties they could care less one way or the other as far as the bill goes. But I think you'll find most of the counties are okay with it because it doesn't cost them any money. So
Yeah, it's interesting because when you really start to learn about what the programming is for veterans and how they're ranked disabled or what their funding looks like, it's kind of like, okay, so we've paid you this money because you've achieved, this amount of disabled. And then by the way, that we're going to tax you and take the money, you might as well just not tax them. Like, why are they paying property taxes, right? It seems kind of redundant.
right.
So that one's interesting to me. I would be curious as to how willing people are to reach out to their representation at the state level and voice your opinion on that one, because that does feel like a lot of money going back and forth that is unnecessary.
Right.
And to me, obviously, this one I am biased on, right? Like, I am the daughter, I am the granddaughter of the vet. I am not a vet. But if you have earned your time back from giving to the military, that's not a job you get to quit. That this is an earned benefit if it is taken all the way to the governor's desk. And we do extend certain benefits to our veterans because at one point they wrote a check that was, blank.
Right.
So this one makes a lot of sense to me, and I would really encourage you to reach out to your legislators and voice your opinion on that one. Okay, so let's swing this the other way. In Lorain County specifically, we had a little bit of a dust up recently about if property taxes are removed in the state of Ohio across the board. And there is a petition for this bill to go on the ballot in November for property taxes to be removed. That would, in all likelihood, defund the veteran service commissions in all 88 counties. So we referenced them earlier in our conversation. That is how veterans are able to get their claims processed with no fees, transportation to their VA appointments, some financial assistance. That is really kind of the focal point in all 88 counties per the ORC. They would be defunded. That doesn't mean that there wouldn't be random sources of funding, but in all likelihood, they would be defunded, and there would be no millage for them. So if I bring that to you, what say you?
Well, obviously, the number one thing is if you run across somebody saying sign this petition, we want to get this put on the ballot and do away with property tax. Obviously, the reaction is no, thank you, I don't want that, and don't sign it. But the main thing is to let others know. I don't think most people realize what would happen if we just totally did away with property tax right now. It's not just schools; it's the mental health, uh, the libraries, you name it. There's dozens. I mean, Lorraine County Community College is a lot of their funding comes from property tax. Uh, all those things would instantly disappear as far as that money goes. Then it's going to be up to each organization or uh,
Agency.
people to determine what to do, how to get their funding. Uh, the county obviously will get money from the state somehow. We don't know how because they haven't come up with this is what we're going to come up with instead of property tax. They're just saying, let's do away with property tax and let somebody else figure out what to do.
Right.
So what's going to happen is you're going to lose the funding for schools. You're going to lose the funding for your mental health, your schools, your everything that's out there that's getting property tax money. All that money is going to disappear for them. Then it's going to be up to the counties to figure out how to get their money back from some other source. It's going to have to come from the state. The state's going to have to act a lot faster than it has on other things to have anything happen. I guarantee you, on the long list of things that are getting money from school or property taxes, the Veterans County Commissioners are way down at the bottom when it comes to finding ways to replenish that money. It could take years before that money comes back, if it all comes back. And I guarantee you it probably would come back under the jurisdiction of the county commissioners because they've been up in arms for years that they don't have any control over that money. And when it comes back, they're going to have control over that money. And you're going to have every county operating under different rules and regulations. So it's going to be a total mess.
Well, and I think the other thing to consider here is, we definitely have different eras of our veterans. Our Vietnam veterans. My dad was a Cold War guy. He passed away a few years ago. We have our Vietnam veterans, which are right there, right next to those guys, and are aging depending on where they're at in the Vietnam era. And very quickly behind them are our 9/11 vets, and a few years delay for our 9/11 veterans is a big deal at this stage in our lives. Yeah. And so I just really caution people when we talk about the progression, or if you are unsure, please ask, right? A few years delay in a veteran's life at that stage. Obviously, we haven't had massive conflict, which we're incredibly thankful for, but those veterans are aging and they're, what affects their bodies and their mental health at this point. A few years of no funding is astronomical. So I agree with you. Yes, it's your library, it's your community college, it's all of those things. But to some people, years, they can't afford to not have funding. And there really isn't federal. It's not really. There is no federal funding coming into these county agencies.
Right. Yeah. It's going to be quick to go away, and it's going to take quite a while to get it back. And in the meantime, you're going to have a lot of people hurting and in pain, physically, mentally, you name it. It's going to be a disaster. I can see reducing and eliminating a lot of the taxes that we have there.
Yes.
But it needs to be done in a process that will work without harming people in the process. So it's something that needs to be looked at, and I think they're looking at it now in Congress or in the General Assembly. They're making changes. Each one is just a little bit, but overall, it's a big change. So it's working. Yeah. It's getting there. It's going to take some time.
I agree with you. I think reform is necessary, just not a big sweeping reform.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
David, I think we did great. We got a lot done here. We got House Bill 708. We got House Bill 244 for tomorrow. We got Senate Bill 92, the honor and remembering flag, which I will not
There
misspeak
you
on
are. Yeah.
again. And we got some tax reform. So we
Yep.
did pretty good for our first session, friend.
Yes. Yes. I think so. I think we did real well.
Awesome.
Are we
Well,
off now, or are we
yeah,
still on?
we're going to say goodbye to everyone and then we'll be
Okay. All
off.
right.
I hope everyone got tons of information. We'll put some contact information for David and how to
Please.
get on his mailing list here. All the contact information, you guys know how to find me. But if you're looking for me, I'll put some on there for me as well. And David and I will come back in, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks, I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
With more
that sounds good.
information. And if there's something that you'd like us to cover, you can leave a comment anywhere where you're watching this video. And David and I will try to, I don't know, get you some information or have an opinion. We'll try to catch you then. All right, David, we'll catch you next time. Bye, everybody. See you soon.
Bye.